So it's moving in that direction that I think we're all sort of realizing the space is going, where you're going to invest in projects that like you care about or have some purpose and some substance. And it's not, not everything is just about, you know, buying something for $50 and selling it for 75.
100%. And I will actually come right back to that point. I actually like how you ended that, buying something for 50 and selling it for 75, because we talked about it last night, how that's kind of where the space is, but that's kind of fading. But I have to mention something because I just looked up. I can't stop watching Duncan's ears. They just they're the best thing. Okay. All right. Now that everybody had their laugh and got an opportunity to really enjoy that, back to it. We talked about it last night in depth, and I thought it would be a great rabbit hole here on the show too. Like that, I don't remember who tweeted it out. I can't remember who tweeted out, but I was kind of reading something along those lines, and that whole flipper, the whole free mint, and then run it up and sell it for 50, 100, and you got 100 of them, and you sold them for 50 a pop, whatever. It seems like that's just kind of disappearing, and what you're doing, building these businesses behind these projects, is kind of the thing. I mean, what's next? Like, is that kind of the move, or when do we move out of all this nonsense that we know the space is right now?
Yeah, I don't I don't have a definitive timeline by any means, but it seems like we're starting now, and I think we talked about this even like months back. We talked about this sort of, what we affectionately call, degenerate gambling. It's it's always going to exist. There's always going to be a pocket for it, right? Like, if there's an opportunity for people to make fast, easy money, like why wouldn't they take it, right? And maybe there's going to, memes and derivatives seems to be the play in that always, and there's no reason that's going to stop. But just because the market's becoming so saturated, it's hard to know, and it's hard to monitor everything, and it's hard to know what's going to work and what's not going to work, and where you can really make money. And I feel like this past year, it was just like a feeding frenzy almost, and everyone was just like spreading their liquidity out everywhere. And now that we're in this sort of like bear market, people are like, like shit, like I don't have any money to like invest in new things, right? And like, so it's sort of like, whatever, like you're playing roulette. And what's the martingale method, where is that what it is, where it's called, where it's like, if you lose, you bet double. So if you pay $5,
No,
you bet 10
I
on the
think
next
that's
one,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that, but people are sort of like out of liquidity now. You reach a point where you can't do it. And so that's why I think we're going to move away from that. What exists now is always going to be a small pocket in a bigger ecosystem. And the timeline is really the timeline for, larger, more mass adoption in the space, right? Like the larger the space grows, the more people there are, the more projects. I think the more people are going to invest in things that they, personally identify with. And so I don't have a timeline, but I'm, with some of these projects that, I'm running again with purpose and tied to good causes and incredible nonprofit organizations and things like that. Like I'm hoping to at least establish, myself and Docs Labs as, an organization that again is doing something of substance in the space and trying to, show the community like what NFTs can be and how they can be used. So that's sort of what we're doing here.
Hell yeah, I love that. And I won't mention her name, but somebody tweeted out yesterday. She's founder and artist of a project, and she tweeted out yesterday. And this is going to kind of segue me into the next point. It just made me think of it. Stuff you were saying. Good thing I like everybody around here, because all of my bags, literally, I looked at all my wallets and they have all gone to zero. And you might have saw the tweet. You might know who that is. And it's like, good thing I like everybody around here. Good thing I like my community, and I've built a good circle of people around me. So my question, why is community? Because to me, community is the most important thing in NFT projects. And I'm pretty sure it's the exact same for you, but why has the Brews community been so important during this time? And just why is community in general just so important for the NFT space?
Yeah, it's the $1 million question. But they're like, community is so incredibly valuable. Like, we were talking about the other day that, the Brews volume, like, is not great by all normal standards. I think our ownership is relatively good.
I would say quality. I would say
Is
quality.
pretty good. Like just the amount of unique owners we have. I think we did a really good job early, like doing those things that I stand for, being like honest and transparent, and just telling people early, like, hey, like, this is clearly, like, we knew early that this was not going to be like a quick flip project, and we told everyone. We were just like, look, like, you're probably not going to make money off this, and initially, and like I felt like, I was like, me personally being in the Discord and in spaces and talking to the community was a huge part of it. One of the reasons I started the project was it felt like founders were like kind of absent from their own projects and their own community. And I hated that. And so I just feel like being present, being real humans. Like, I remember those early Discord days where it's like, yo, man, like, where do you live? Like, what are you doing today? What are you eating right now? Like, just like having like normal conversations in the Discord, like, because like we started so small, and like we're still relatively small, but because we started so small, like I felt like we all got to know each other in a different way. And like, because everybody knew that it wasn't like something that was just gonna like moon instantly. That's not what the conversation was. And that's what I think is so cool about this community. And they know they can always come back. And that's why people just hold on to them, because like, well, I love this community. I love the people who are a part of it. Like, I can always come back here and find friends, and not, someone people who are going to be honest with me and steer me in the right direction. And who I can just like be open and honest with. And I think that's really cool. Community, it's like, to answer the rest of the question, why it's so important, like for a project, like they're your greatest marketing tool. Like, we can, you could have the coolest project in the world, but unless people care about it and are talking about it, nobody's going to know, and nobody's going to buy it. And so, that's one of the reasons community is so important. And like we talk about it all the time, it's this very cyclical thing where it's like, the community's job to go out there and like evangelize on behalf of the project, to go out there and tell their friends and bring people in and like try to reach out to new communities and expand the circle and all of that. And then after that's done and the project and the founders make some money, it's our job to then take those funds and actually, execute and build the thing, that we say that we're going to build, or that we set out to build. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy journey. It feels like a, perpetually sort of moving target in front of us right now. And we're sort of like, I don't know, going with the flow and kind of like touching on at different points, throughout the process, and trying to figure out, what it is that the community really wants, what's going to bring the most value to the community, to, and to the project and to our team. And so we're sort of always kind of guessing at all that stuff.